Hello, welcome to Team 1 video PowerPoint presentation for Pub 500 with instructor Dr. Teresa Martinelli. This presentation will be based off of the textbook Public Administration, Understanding Management, Politics, and the Law in the Public Sector, the 8th edition. In this section, I will be introducing my fellow team members. My name is Stephen Nichols, and in the next slide, team member Charles Lee will cover key learning objectives, followed by team member Vanessa Watson, who will discuss the history of public personnel administration, followed by Mountsie Hokyu, who will cover political approach to public personnel administration, followed by Tanya Samoff, who will cover NPM versus Orthodox Personnel Administration, and lastly, Keisha Lakey, who will cover recommendations and summaries. Please stay tuned, and I hope you enjoy this video presentation.
Hey there, Professor. We'll be discussing Chapter 5, Public Personnel Administration and Collective Bargaining. So the key learning objectives for this chapter. First, knowing the historical background of public personnel administration. Second, the political approach to public personnel administration. Third, a learning objective would be understanding the orthodox ways of public personnel administration versus the new methods. The fourth learning objective will be recommendations for the 21st century public personnel administration. And then finally, the final learning objective will be the summary of learning points.
Vanessa Watson here to enlighten you on the historical background of public personnel administration. The first phase of public administration was known as the Era of Gentlemen, and this started with the first presidency of Washington in 1789. The criteria for getting a position in government was essentially your fitness of character. So this meant you had a high standing in the community and personal integrity. This tended to be members of the upper class. Then came the Jefferson presidency in 1801, and he started to question the practices of the previous administration. He felt that administrators should exercise public trust in the public interest. He started himself appointing Republicans to jobs to make the federal service politically representative to his benefit. And at this point, federal administrator jobs were lifetime, so much to the point where they were bequeathed to incumbent male heirs upon their death. The second phase of public personnel administration is known as the spoils system. With President Jackson in 1829 in office, he criticized the previous administration's system of appointments. He complained that the long tenure made them unresponsive to the public and their interests, that there was an upper class bias, and finally that the long tenure contributed to aging, which hurt the performance in the government. So Jackson called for reform, and one of his major reforms was a maximum 4-year term for federal administrative jobs. So these jobs mirrored the presidency at the time. And appointments made to jobs were based on loyalty to the president, which basically meant if you helped the president get into office and supported him, you were rewarded with the job. The third phase of public administration that we currently have in place today is known as the merit system. So the reformers, they were intent on replacing the spoils politicians who were unqualified. Government was becoming more involved in regulatory policy and administration, and they felt the need to have qualified personnel in government. Patronage politics was harming commerce, and finally, spoils politicians were associated with the lower class and immigrant population. And being that these reformers were middle-class Anglo-Americans, they did not want these groups to gain any power or attraction in the government. So finally, we see the merit system. The Pendleton Act of 1883, also known as the Civil Service Act. And this is where appointments for government jobs are made based on your merit. So they used open competitive exams and qualifications for these exams in order to land these government jobs. And we also see the Lloyd La Follette Act of 1912, where you were guaranteed tenure in office versus the limited 4-year terms in office that we saw under the previous administration. And finally, we see the Civil Service Commission, which is an independent agency.
Hello, my name is Machusi Hawk. I will be covering details about the political approach to public personnel administration and the theory of responsiveness and representativeness.
The political methodology of public personnel administration has standards that are not the same as the public decision-making tactics. The political methodology of public personnel administration approach directs to highlighting various method and deliberation. This approach highlights the differences between the public and the private work. Public employees are to provide public service and are required to follow rules that allow them to serve the public. It creates and implements public policy, provide goods and services, which is not done at a private sector. Two theories of political approach to public personnel administration are representativeness and responsiveness. Another way of defining responsiveness theory is approachability. The most common strategy for dealing with the idea of responsiveness is to treat it as an aspect of responsibility or approachability. Responsiveness is the dominant value in a patronage system. Public personnel managers' role in this approach is to make sure that the merit system is in compliance. A public employee is expected to follow the rules placed by current political party in power. Responsiveness holds political patronage in hiring, choosing, promoting public employees. Theory of representativeness is another way of saying it's a government by common man. Governmental organizations are assumed to be political. Policy constructing organizations implement governmental power, but it can be controlled, and the controlling process is called representativeness or government by common man. Public control over policy and increased efficiency was introduced in this method. It is focused on equal opportunity, in short EEO, which leads to social justice, gender equality, give rights to minority, women, and disabled individuals as well are benefited by this theory. Women, disabled people, minorities, and other disadvantaged groups who faced barriers were very glad that equal employment opportunity rights were in place, and it was under the theory of representativeness in government. This also prohibits religious discrimination, considering religion is more common in America nowadays. Public control over policy, increased efficiency is what makes the political approach to public administration great.
Hello, this is Tanya Samoff, and today I will be comparing management approaches. The approaches I will be comparing today are orthodox or old school public management and NPM or new public management, new school public management. New public management is a response to the methods of orthodox public management. Starting approximately 25 years ago, proponents of new public management began to express their beliefs that government should be more responsive and efficient. New public management proponents believe federal agencies need to embrace changes and tenets of new public management such as accountability, technological advancements, and employee involvement. New public management is a response to the methods of orthodox public management. Starting approximately 25 years ago, proponents of new public management began to express their beliefs that government should be more responsive and efficient. At the time, what were considered contemporary administrative agencies were seen as becoming outdated. NPM proponents believe federal agencies needed to embrace the changes in tenets of NPM, such as accountability, technological advancements, and employee involvement. Both orthodox and new public management, human resource management, seek to maximize efficiency, economy, and effectiveness through recruitment, selection, placement, pay, training, and treatment of public employees. They have the same goal, however, they have different methods to achieve this goal. The differences between orthodox public management and NPM in classification, recruitment, selection, and promotion are listed here. Under orthodox public management, these systems are very structured and rigid. NPM seeks to simplify all parts of classification, recruitment, selection, and promotion. One major change is to promotions. Orthodox public management believes promotions must be made by written examinations and performance appraisals. A promotion is seen as a reward. NPM believes in flexibility for promotions, wants a flatter organization or less management, and believes employees can be rewarded without a promotion. Along the lines of the performance appraisals under orthodox public management are subjective. The performance appraisals of employees depended on the beliefs of the manager or supervisor writing the appraisal. 98% of federal employees receive a satisfactory or higher rating on their performance appraisals. NPM seeks to add customer service satisfaction surveys and quantitative results-oriented performance measures to performance appraisals. Regarding pay, it's used as a motivator. However, public service management is different than the private sector. NPM seeks to evaluate employees on their customer service ratings and contributions. "60% of the federal workforce is able to retire by this year. While this is a large number of employees to be replaced, there are still sometimes cutbacks in government. When cutting employees, orthodox public management seeks to cut the least productive employees and services as well as outsource. Under NPM, administrators believe in cutting managers and supervisors while empowering employees. NPM seeks to promote employee well-being through programs such as FMLA or the Family Medical Leave Act, which permits employees to take a certain amount of time off to handle medical issues with either themselves or a family member. NPM seeks to motivate employees by giving both employees and management flexibility in their decision-making and day-to-day operations, and hopes to increase motivation in public service.
Of the two managerial doctrines outlined in this presentation, only one conforms to the needs of a 21st century public sector: new public management. In an age of speed and information accessibility, new public management provides the most nimble and agile method for the practice of public sector human resources. The public wants transparency, responsiveness, and results from all levels of government. New public management suggests three approaches that will help achieve its service objectives in the human resources arena. These approaches include decentralization, privatization, and blowing up the status quo. Under this new way of thinking, new public management allows public administration practitioners and the public to envision a federal government and even local governments that look more like the private sector. For instance, in the human resources arena, we see contracting and privatization of services, simplifying classification and recruitment strategies, developing flexible selection procedures that eliminate ranking and narrowly defined eligibility groups, flattening of the organization, empowering employees to solve problems, and advancing and promoting employees based on performance and customer satisfaction rather than longevity.
Hi there, this is Charles again. I would like to talk about the revolving door and use this as an example of what's going on in the current news today. Overall, the revolving door is the movement of high-level employees from the public sector jobs to private sector jobs and vice versa. A great example of a revolving door in today's society is our current president right now, Trump, who has zero experience in public administration, and currently he's using a form of the spoil systems to choose his cabinet members. Another great example of a revolving door is that of Dina Powell, who used to work for Goldman Sachs for 9 years. She was at one point president of the Goldman Sachs Foundation, which is one of the largest corporate charities in the world. President Trump uh, elected her to become his deputy national security advisor.
During this presentation, we have demonstrated the evolution of public personnel management from the era of gentlemen to the spoils era and to the merit system. We have provided a comparison of different approaches to the function of human resources, including the orthodox approach and the new public management approach. Finally, we've identified the best approach for human resources management in the 21st century, and we've selected new public management. Through techniques that parallel private sector concepts, new public management delivers on its goals of efficiency, economy, and effectiveness, de-emphasizing process in favor of outcomes. By doing so, new public management stands out as the future of human resources management in the public sector.
Concluding our presentation, some of the possible changes in personal administration will most likely take effect. First one will be personal systems will continue to be decentralized. Second, simplifying privatization. And then third, getting rid of traditional civic service systems.